That's awesome. Welcome, Kiwanians and guests. Nice to see everybody today in their summery outfits. All the Hawaiian shirts out there, all the cute skirts. It's awesome. I'm going to start the program like I normally do. I give the bad news first, and then I give the good news. So, want to send a soulful remorse out to Jill Sluss. My understanding is she lost her brother this morning. So we have a card for Jill that we're going to pass around. So please sign it and keep it moving. We really appreciate that. And I don't know if you guys remember she was the best little lady, Dee Copenhaver. Understand she's in the hospital having some heart issues. So let's give a prayer to our past member, Dee Copenhaver. But the good news now is welcome home from Scotland, Mike O'Brocta. So glad to have him back. and it's great to see that Sam Razul is with us today. And I didn't mention it last week, but it's great to see Chris and Betsy Head here. I know this is the second week in a row to have them back. So glad to have them back here with us. Our invocation today is going to be led by Wendy Mellentine.
Please pray with me. Loving God, you call me into your presence just as I am. I arrive with lots of emotional baggage, often expressed in my thoughts and distractions. May these thoughts and distractions begin our conversation together. May they be reminders of my human frailty with its worries and concerns. May our conversation settle my spirit and help me to surrender my heart to you. Amen.
And Judy's our song leader today. Judy does such a great job playing music for us every week. So thank you, Judy. That was awesome. Our Pledge of Allegiance today is going to be led by Milton Hardy.
Hand over your hearts. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Milton. And one of our new members, Greg Lineberger, is going to be introduce our guest today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Greg Lineberger. I am the son of Sam Lineberger, the younger brother of Sam Lineberger. And I'm recently relocated back to Roanoke after about 25 years in Atlanta, joining Lineberger Construction. So really, really glad to be here and glad to be at Kiwanis. We have a number of guests today. I would ask both the guests and their member sponsor to stand and be recognized. I'll tell you what, let's start off with Jacqueline Nunziato, who is a guest of Sherry Hartman. We also have Nick Hagan, who's a guest of Stephanie Moon. Nick. We have, excuse me, Keely Lancaster, who's a guest of Clark. Keely. Fred Jeter, who's a guest of Bart Wilner. Emma Pierman, who's a guest of Kim Briggs. Emma. And then we have a whole family, I believe. Nate, Susie, and Brianna Simpson. And they are guests of Bruce. From the Action Club. So we have Sarah Ross, if everybody wants to stand. Sarah Ross, John Fouts, Robin Fouts, James Harper, and Mark Shelton. So welcome to all. Thanks all for being here.
Greg, can we get everyone? Good job.
All right. It's so great to see a full room of Kiwanians and their guests here. We love it. So we're going to do something fun and something overdue. I've got a permanent member badge here for Joe Gaither. So Joe, talk about a Kiwanian who's gone above and beyond to get their new member badge. We're proud to present this to you, Joe. Thank you so much. In fact, I'll trade with you. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let's give Joe a round of applause. So now we have an autobiography from Sam Razul.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you, Pegram, for the invitation to give my autobiography for about 30 minutes or so. Don't hand the politician a microphone. So we'll start in the middle. My family of small businesses, business owners, my family always had a little corner store here in Roanoke. One day, a young gentleman came in. It was around Halloween, and he was wearing a mask. And he came in, and he knew my father, Ralph. He was wearing this mask, and he said, "Ralph, give me your money." And he wasn't playing. He was there to rob him. And my father, Ralph, he said, "Quit playing around, this, that, and the other." Well, a little scuffle ensued. And he took some money, and very shortly thereafter, my mother walked in. My parents both ran this little convenience store. She asked what had happened. She called the police. The police came, and my father tried to play it down. He tried to say, "Oh, we were," but my mother wasn't having any of it. Right? She was. This is an issue. The issue at hand was my father knew who this young gentleman was. More importantly, he knew this young gentleman's mother. And he knew the headache and heartache that this mother had been through, being in a neighborhood that is to this day still economically impoverished, and just how much headache and heartache it would cause for this gentleman to then be arrested and sent to court. Well, charges were pressed. My mother wasn't having any of it. And court date came. And the guy comes back into the store the day of court, the young gentleman, and he said, "Ralph, I don't have a ride." He said, "Well, come on, I'll give you a ride." So this is maybe the early 90s. So my father gives this young gentleman a ride to court, did his best to downplay things as best he could, because this is if those of you familiar with the Bluestone community, we knew them very, very well. And we certainly didn't want to complicate people's lives for silly mistakes that they made. You know, the point of the story kind of encapsulates a lot of my life. I came here in the early 80s. We were an immigrant family. And there aren't a lot of people who look like us or even worship like us. And we had to build bridges and make friends everywhere we went. And more importantly, what we knew is that life is complicated. And it is a place of privilege when you are able to look at a situation or experience something and know that this is black and white for you. And so when you see this story of this young man, these situations, and you can come to a quick conclusion, then take great pride in the privilege that you enjoy, because many people cannot live like that. We have complicated lives and complicated situations that we are going through. And it's important for us to be able to empathize and meet people where they're at, even the people who may be working against us. And those of you who are children of Scripture, it is written in all of the Scripture. And if you're in the Christian faith in Matthew, how you should love your enemy. Well, we try to learn all the Scriptures about loving each other and loving our enemies and loving our neighbors, because this has always been very important to us. So that encapsulates how I raise my children. Always tell the truth, always be kind, and never give up are 3 family values. And really is a great story of how our whole life has come together. So, number one, I'm thankful to a wonderful, welcoming community of Roanoke who 40 years ago welcomed this family in and gave us the opportunity in many respects to thrive, and now for me to be able to serve. But also, I hope that we can all take a moment and just pause when we have complicated situations before us and just appreciate the stories and the depth with which people's experiences have come from. Thanks for letting me share a little bit of our story.
Thank you, Sam. We do have some announcements to make. So First Fridays, we do have enough volunteers signed up for the First Friday event. I would just say, come down and have some fun. Come down and support the First Fridays show as a group and enjoy your time there. Roanoke Runs for Refugees event is September 9th, and I believe there's plenty of signups that have taken place with that as well. I think Sherry, did you want to talk about Bocce? Go ahead. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Good afternoon, friends. Emily Bailey, just reminding you about our wonderful bocce ball tournament. This is going to be our 4th one. It is scheduled for the morning of September the 17th at 9 a.m. That's so if it is unseasonably warm again, we'll be able to beat the heat a little bit. We are planning on having some tents, so we will have some shade cover if it is really warm. We're excited about the event. This is a fun event. This is not a fundraiser, so this is just to cover the costs for the event. But we will be serving breakfast, and we will also have mimosas, Bloody Marys, and non-alcoholic beverages. So friends, family, all the people, and we talk about spreading Kiwanis like confetti and reaching out to our neighbors. And this is a really, really good event to invite people to introduce them to Kiwanis. It's fun. There's no pressure. Nobody has to remember a bunch of people's names. They don't have to stand up in a group of strangers and sing songs and, be like, what are these crazy people doing? So, this is something that we should be doing how often?
Every day.
Every day of our life, we should be looking for future Kiwanians. So get together, get a team, come have fun with us. It's going to be a total blast.
All right. You cannot turn that invitation down, right? Come on out. It's such great fun. I grew up in Venezuela, so bocce ball was a big part of an activity, and it's great way to bring people together. So I also have another great way to bring people together, and I put them to work. And we did that on Saturday. We went to Melrose Avenue and we teamed up with SERVE, Decca Knight's organization, standing for equity in the Roanoke Valley. And guess what? We had 16 Kiwanians strong there. It was Decca and 16 of us cleaning up Melrose Avenue and Hortons Creek. I was so proud of our club for showing up. So I do have a little thank you for each of you. And if you didn't get gloves to take home, I have extra gloves because I'll be putting you to work again. So in the bag, help yourself to a pair of work gloves. And I have these thank you notes for each of you with the butterfly on it, because this cleanup that we did on Saturday is a part of our signature project you are going to learn more about in October. The big picture of what we're doing in our signature project, cleaning up the watershed, cleaning up the area that feeds into Horton Creek is a part of this project. So you get a monarch butterfly note from me. All right, let me see. First one, Mike McAvoy. Are you able to break away from the computer? You'll come get it later. Okay. You're doing important stuff over there. Came early. Thank you, Mike. And this is Mr. Don Witt, who worked really hard, sweat pouring off of him on Saturday. And he didn't even fall in the creek this time. And Joe Lemmer. Joe shows up for so much, as does John, to help us out. Thank you so much to Joe Lemmer, and grab gloves if you need them. And Emma, prospective member Emma, came on out. All right, let me see. Did I get a hold of the right one here? This one for you. Thank you so much for coming out. All right, who else? This is John Monty Montgomery over here. A club could not run without John. And Bruce Swanson, thank you so much for your help. A number of these folks also helped out with the garden, being part of our garden brigade of volunteers. Bruce was one of those. And John and Robin Fouts always shows up when we need help. If you'd like, I've got one for the couple to give you our thanks from our club for helping us out on Saturday. This one is John Ewart. Let me make sure I get it the right way. John and Robin, thank you so much. And help yourself to gloves, and John Ewart, who always helps out every time you need a helping hand. And this, let me see here. What I have two for Robin. Sarah. Is Sarah here? Yes, Sarah Ross from Melrose Towers. I was so happy because they're right up the street from where we cleaned, and I got to meet you for the first time. And JJ joined us. Sarah, could you get this for JJ? Then he doesn't have to hobble over. He brought his sunshine. Thank you. And Mark came on out and helped us. These folks come out every time you need help. They're there to help us out. Mr. Ken Briggs, you're the one who recruits all of them. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Ken. And Nick, another prospective member, showed up in his 5-fingered footwear that wraps around every one of your toes. So he came as the best dressed.
Thank you, Nick Hagan, for coming on out. And this is Mike Adams. Is that the right last name? Mike came, new member Mike. Thank you so much for helping us out. All right. And Decca Leddit, who's not here today. All right. I hope I got everyone. If I'm missing anybody, give me a shout out. Did I miss anyone? Thank you all so much. I also just want to briefly mention that we are so appreciative to that brigade of volunteers who helps with the garden, led by Cynthia Gray, and we'll hear more about that in October, but we so appreciate your help. Thanks so much, President Clark.
We do have some time for brag bucks today. Members may speak for 30 seconds for $2, and that money goes towards our foundation. I think we do have a pre-paid brag. I'm just looking for Mr. Briggs. There he is. Yep.
Thank you. Ken Briggs here, a $30 brag. Clark, if you'll pass that down, that's a very significant number. You'll hear more about it later. Club of Roanoke, thank you. But we discuss everything. We discuss politics. We have, what's the term, civic engagement, and talk about a number of issues in the world. But while we're sitting around that big table, we got some time on our hands. If your organization needs to get a mailing out, we've got the hands to do it at our clubhouse. So let me or Mike Lubman or Mike Adams know if we can help you. The second part of my brag, number 30, goes to Davidson College. I know you feel like it's been a long time since we gave you a report from Davidson, but Sam, Darby, Guy Bird, Reeve Kessler, and I are Davidson graduates in this club. About 15 years ago, a young man wanted to play basketball at Virginia Tech. He wasn't quite good enough. His name was Stephen Curry. And we scrounged up enough money to give him a scholarship. Played pretty well for us for 3 years, and then was drafted by the Golden State Warriors. He promised his mama after 3 years he'd come back and get his diploma. Problem is, Davidson no longer offers summer school. I couldn't have gotten through without summer school. But anyway, dear Stephen was stuck. And obviously, he was good enough to have his number retired and be in a Hall of Fame. But the rules are, if you haven't graduated, you can't do those things. Well, this afternoon at 2:30, Stephen Curry will receive his diploma. He worked with, I think, professors at Stanford, I believe, who corresponded with the Davidson professors, and he was able to earn his degree. He will be inducted into our Hall of Fame, and his number 30 will be retired. 2:30, if you want to see it on live stream, I'll be leaving here quickly to get home today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Sherry Dillon, and I have two brags today. My first brag is on my guest, Bethany. I want to brag because she is the most patient person in the world. I've been trying to bring her to a meeting since April. So today, at the end of August, we're finally here. So thank you, Bethany. My next brag is on my granddaughter, my sugar booger. Anybody that's been here for any length of time may remember this was my baby that came 2 months early, spent 12 and a half weeks in NICU. She is now 14 years old today, happy, healthy, straight A, in the Beta Club. I could not ask for more, my miracle child.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Alex Barge. As some of you know, I work with Brain Injury Services of Southwest Virginia, a nonprofit that serves survivors of brain injury. We have a community event coming up on Thursday, September 15th. I've got information on your tables here. Burgers, bluegrass, and brain injury awareness. Should be a fun, good time. All are welcome to join us. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. This will be very brief. I'm Steve McGraw. JC Taylor was supposed to brag on me today and did not. So sorry, JC. Don't worry about it. I'll catch you later. But so I'm bragging on JC. Thank you.
And the banter continues. So today's program, we have Benjamin Oldham with WFXR, and he's going to be introduced by Mike Obrachta.
First, thanks for welcoming me back. You all look pretty good in Zoom. You look much better in person. So I'm going to begin by giving you a little background for today's speaker. And then I'm going to encourage you to connect a couple dots, all right? So Ben Oldham has had a long 40-plus year career in news media. He's currently serving as vice president and general manager of WFXR and WWCW here in Roanoke. He's going to talk about this long 40-year professional journey. He's going to provide a profile of those two stations I just mentioned. And he's going to talk a little bit about the big network in the sky that they all report to. Is it Nexstar Media, pardon me. So here's where I want you to connect dots. Last week, we heard from a speaker who talked about the importance of digital branding to the future of our Kiwanis Club. Ben's going to touch on that same subject. So connect those dots. If you believe in the future of this club, which certainly I do, then those dots are something we need to be paying attention to. Now, during those 40 years, 28 of those were in senior sales, selling something to seniors, I guess. Marketing, operations, and leadership of TV stations. And I made a short list of some of the places he's been. Some of the garden spots, actually: Tampa, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Houston, Greensboro, Birmingham, and Roanoke. We compete favorably with all those places, don't we? Please help me welcome Ben.
I got to tell you, this is going to be tough. So the AV's out, but we can walk through it. I rode up the elevator with Jackie and I said, you guys have a huge club here. And she said, the reason we have a huge club is we have such great speakers. That's not a good way to start. But anyway, so I'm going to talk slow and try and do everything right so that you don't disappoint. I'm not disappointing, but sort of to run you through, was born and raised in Siler City, North Carolina. So everybody knows Siler City from Aunt B, Andy Griffith, Johnson's Cheeseburgers. So I'm a proud graduate of the University of South Carolina. We're known for a rooster and a blowfish. So I graduated in 1984, and sort of my career took me from Columbia, South Carolina to Greenville, North Carolina. I worked at a CBS affiliate in Greenville, North Carolina. And through my career, I've met some great people and made some dear friends. If you've ever watched 60 Minutes or ABC, they have a reporter named Byron Pitts. Byron Pitts, great reporter. Byron and I worked together. And our careers have crossed paths. But from Greenville, North Carolina, I was hired back to Greensboro, North Carolina, which is my home. So I went to the WGHP Fox TV. And again, our industry, I was explaining to John that our industry is sort of like football or anything where the head coach will go somewhere and bring in an offensive coordinator, sort of what's going on at Virginia Tech and Virginia right now. So I was asked to follow a management team up to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I usually have a map to show you that. I keep crossing over myself. But so we went up to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania for a few years, got a call back to Greensboro. So I went back to WGHP Greensboro. I transferred to Tampa, Florida, to WTSP in Tampa. I was there for 6 years and got a call from CBS and said, hey, we got a management position open at KYW in Philly. So we went up to Philly. Then I got a call from the Tribune Corporation and said, we've got an opportunity in Atlanta, Georgia. So we moved down to Atlanta. Then I had a buddy call me who was in Houston, Texas, and said, I'm getting ready to take over an NBC station in Houston. You and Colleen want to go? Sure, why not? So I called Colleen, you want to move to Houston? So we moved to Houston. We were there 6 years. And throughout this career from there, ended up with this company in Birmingham, Alabama, and was transferred here a year and a half ago. And I got to tell you, we love it. We're mountain people. We're not coast people. So the Tampa, Florida thing, you can sort of keep. But I was transferred here to manage WFXR and WWCW. So to keep, I usually put up driver's license. So I've had driver's license and tags from North Carolina, South Carolina, Pennsylvania, Florida, New Jersey, Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and Virginia. And so can you imagine when I go to the DMV and they say, in the past 10 years, have you had a driver's license in another state? And I go, yes. And they go, what state? And I go, 10 years. Let's see. North Carolina. And of course they think I'm a criminal. So, so that's the 9 states we've lived in. My wife and I love it here. You're such a welcoming community. And I saw Sam speak at an economic development function. And what I love about the area is the passion. Everyone here is very passionate about where we live. And there's some great organizations growing us. The other thing, sometimes I think you have to have somebody move into your house to tell you how nice your house is. So this is a great area. And like I said, Colleen and I, we love it here. I'm employed by a company out in Dallas, Texas. It's called Nexstar Broadcasting. Nexstar owns and operates 199 TV stations across the country, from New York to Los Angeles to WGN Chicago, all across the country. We also own News Nation. We just purchased the CW network. We own WGN Radio, if you still listen to the Cubs. But it's a huge company, but we still have the local community. That's what we do. That's what we do. We serve, we entertain, we educate local viewers, and then we help local companies grow. So Nexstar is the largest owner operator of television stations in the country. We own 199 stations, 116 markets. We cover 68% of the United States. We have 6,000 local journalists doing 283,000 hours of journalism. And again, we're the #1 owner of CBS affiliates and Fox affiliates and CW affiliates. And so we're a huge company, but now I know a lot of you guys have been in corporations, but it doesn't feel like it. You know, we can pick up the phone and call the president of the company, and it's a great culture. And what I like about the culture is, again, it's all about the local community. Make it better than you found it. And take care of your employees. So here at WFXR and CW, we produce 8 hours of local news a day, Monday through Friday. We have 2 TV stations. We have a tower and a transmitter on Poor Mountain and a tower and a transmitter on Thaxton. We have a bureau in Blacksburg, a bureau in Lynchburg. Lynchburg, yes. And about 80 employees. And so we have a good culture. I want people to look forward to coming to work. And that's sort of what we're bringing to the community. A television station is set up with a general manager And by the way, I've got great department heads. So I'm not that busy. They do good. They do all the work and, and I stay out of their way. But I have a sales division, a director of sales. And in the sales, we have television commercials that we produce. We have TV commercials that we produce. And then we have a digital sales arm. So I have a division that can help you with your SEO, your SEM, your pay-per-click, all of the social media. And if you have any questions, ask Sam because he's good. And I subscribe to your newsletter every week, by the way. I have a news director who's in charge of all the reporters and the producers and the anchors. And we have business, creative services, which is the department that promotes us. And then I have a chief engineer that keeps us on the air. He's got the hardest job in the building because he uses all these words I have never heard of. So, and, between our two brands with Fox, we've got football, Major League Baseball, NASCAR, Steve Harvey, our news is so, it's a fun job. And like I said, my key is to push the vision of we have 4 customers that we serve, our viewers, and the people who use our website, our advertisers, the people who place their hard-earned money on the TV station, our staff, we need to take care of ourselves, and then the communities that we serve. So active with the I Pink I Can walk, the Heart Walk, and that's what we're here to do is serve the community. And like I said, make it a better place. So that's what I do. I had a couple of videos here embedded and they were sort of cool, but questions. Do you have questions of what we do, or what time do your morning anchors get up and things like those? That's usually the first question. Yes, sir.
This is the question I asked you before you got up at the podium.
Okay.
Ask you what steps a club like ours might take to be less of a well-known secret here in Roanoke.
So the question is, what steps to get your brand out in the marketplace? And as I said to Mike, we're going through the same thing. I belong to the Salem Rotary Club. We're going through the exact same thing. I joined the club and 3 weeks later, they made me the chairman of the PR committee, right? It's like, because I was the only one who showed up. So sort of the Marine Corps volunteer. It's tough right now, but what you have to do is keep your brand out. And we're having this same conversation. So let's go high level real quick. Every person in the community needs to join a civic organization to make it better. I mean, I do it selfishly because I like to meet people and I like to go clean up the greenway. And so the high level, and I think we all need to get the message out of, take an hour a week, take 3 hours a week, come to a meeting and meet some great people. And then let's go out and do something, whether it's raising, blood donations or cleaning the greenway. But the key is to keep your brand out. And I know you said you had done something with WDBJ, great television station, and you're reaching a great community. That's mine is, this day with digital advertising and social media, it's actually, you can target your customer, you can keep that brand out. But I think we all, both Kiwanis, Rotary, Lions, we have to do a better job of this is who we are and this is what we do. And this is why you should join us. And but it's a challenge for all of us. I was in a club in Birmingham, Alabama, and it was a great club, the Shades Valley. And I think you said the largest Kiwanis club is in Birmingham. One of the largest Rotary clubs is in Birmingham. And we were battling with getting new members in. I'm amazed how many potential. So for those of you who are potential, join. You have to, because it'll make you feel better. Do I pay you $20 for that? Or, but I think we just have to do a better message messaging of why we're here. Again, that's that you are so welcoming to the person who wanders in and doesn't know where the restroom is. And the Shades Valley Rotary Club was too. The minute I walked in, I belonged there. And I'm an outsider, right? I had moved all over the place, but you do a wonderful job. And that's the key, is make sure that when I walk in the door, you make me feel comfortable. And you guys were great. So that's to answer the question, find out what the brand is, what the message is, and then get it out there any way you can. I'm still a big viral. You every day. And I love it every day. This is who we are. This is why you should join us. I'll see you Wednesday. I'll drive you, Sam. I'll drive you to the meeting. But again, I just think we've gotten away from it and we need to get back to it. Any other questions?
Jackie has one.
Jackie. Perfect. The reach of the television station, and I have a little coverage map here and I'll back up, and we have a huge footprint here. We go from the border of North Carolina all the way down almost to Buchanan County where the floods were. That's crossing into the Tri-Cities area. We go up to Pocahontas County, West Virginia, all the way over east of Lynchburg. So we're Lynchburg, Blacksburg, but it's a huge footprint. And interesting that you mentioned that is we still have a satellite truck, and most people today, reporters, they'll shoot on a cell phone or shoot on a small camera and then use the internet to kick it back to the TV station. But when we sent our crew and our satellite truck to Bristol, past Bristol into Tri-Cities during the flooding, we had to send our truck there. Our sister station didn't have a truck, and we sent our satellite truck there because we're sort of old school. It's like you get out in the air, and if you're on the new river up there in Giles County fishing for smallies, there's no cell signal. So, but it's a huge footprint. And I think we're 584,000 homes in our viewing area. And on market size, with New York being number 1 and Los Angeles being number 2, we're number 71. So that just puts it up 214 markets. We're market number 71. And this is a great market size to be in because we know the police chiefs and the fire chiefs and the local politicians and the congressmen. And it's a great way for us to get out and say, what's going on in the community? What are our problems? Food insecurity. I will tell you, I always ask the 4 questions, or the question of what are the biggest 3 issues of your market? And this one threw me because it's food insecurity, which we can negotiate. That's scary in our country that we have food insecurity, but it's food insecurity. It's housing insecurity. It's education. The one that got me was transportation. We've got a great food bank. We've got a food bank in Salem, but we have a lot of people who can't go, don't have the transportation to get it. So, our jobs as local broadcasters is to try and either come up with the solution or use the microphone to say, hey, we have a problem, we can fix it, or how can we fix it, or can we get together at our studio for a cup of coffee to discuss? So that's why we exist. That's why we're licensed. And going back to the corporation, my CEO bought his first TV station in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And that when he hit the ground, that's the first thing he wanted to do. How do we make this market better? Other questions? We do. The question is, where does our revenue come from? We receive financials from the cable companies that carry us. They pay us to carry our product. But yeah, mostly from broadcast advertising and digital advertising. And going back to the digital, our growth side right now is, we place ads. We have a table at the open exchange, so we can place ads on Hulu, Peacock. We can, I had a Pandora radio campaign running in Birmingham that was running across the country. So in the old days, 10 years ago, we sold TV commercials in this one section, and that's where our revenue came from. Today, if you own a business in Manhattan, I can run commercials over the air or over top in New York. So hopefully that answers that question. But it's like every business. It's a tough business. It's, we were just talking, John, you and I were talking about the newspaper business. Historically, a lot of TV station affiliates are owned by newspaper companies. So for the 6 years I was in Houston, Texas, we were owned by the Washington Post Corporation. And when I went to work there, it was Newsweek magazine and the Washington Post and all these huge brands. And now pretty much the only one to stand is the TV station. And, but it's a tough business, just as Surf Pro, construction, nothing easy. Yeah, that's a really good question. So the question is, do we run public service announcements on our television station? And we do. Chances are good I'd run that rotary before I'd run it. No. Thank you for the laughter. But we do. We run public service as long as you're a not-for-profit organization, which we all are. And yeah, we have a limited amount of time that we run public service announcements, but and do a 30. So the question is, how long would the PSA need to be? 30 seconds. The chat, it's 30 seconds is the normal length. The challenge with the public service announcement, and like I said, we're going through this same issue right now down the street in Salem. The challenge is I get 1,000 public service announcements and they're not targeted. The best way to do it is to put it in your ad budget and call WDBJ and call me and say, what could you do to get just our exposure out there? And, I tell all sorts of organizations, one of the largest categories that we are seeing on the ad side is municipalities and recruitment for police officers, firefighters, truck drivers. And so we're having a lot of not-for-profit organizations actually spend, money with us. WDBJ, SET, SLS are seeing the same thing, that people are actually using us to get their message out and to a targeted audience. CBS Sunday Morning, a Fox News Sunday, a 10 p.m. news with Kathleen and Drew. So yep. No. So the public service announcements, we do run public service announcements just as radio stations do, but there's no telling where they're going to run. You might see it 3 o'clock in the morning, but yeah, sure. Any other questions?
But I have coffee coming.
This is being streamed live, right? The question is, do I receive any pressure from my corporation on how? No, actually pressure like you have to air this, you have to air this. The answer is absolutely no. I have complete autonomy to deliver our news the way our news is supposed to be delivered, right? The facts, just the facts. And that's the difference between a local TV station and a cable news network. As I say to people, I'm the person who talks about getting the cat out of the tree. Right? But our company has no push down about what we do, what we say. None at all. How'd I do? You're standing great. All right, you're standing up. So first of all, like I said, I applaud you for being active in a civic organization. I love your home. My wife and I aren't leaving. This is it. So usually that's the first question I get. So when are you leaving Roanoke? This is it. We're here. We love it. This is our retirement. So thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
So what a fantastic presentation. I don't know if y'all realize this, but his slideshow preview that was supposed to go up here didn't happen. So he did all that just on the whim here. So he really did a great job. Let's give him another hand of applause. And Benjamin, would you be willing to stay behind and maybe chat with people if they want to come up? He said he'd love to.
I've never met a stranger.
Oh, good. Perfect. So, and not only did he do a great job with that, but his speaker honorarium, he's donating back to the and total people have joined our meeting today, not only in person, but also on Zoom. So this is the largest number we've had all year. So give yourselves a round of applause. And on that note, we are adjourned.
Wow.